It's so great to be with you all this week, finally able to be back together. We started a series called So This Is Christmas, and we're going to be going from this past week. We're going to take a week off this next Sunday because we're going to be ice skating, but on December 13th, we're going to come back and do our second part of the series. But last night, we talked about this idea of so many times we see the Christmas story as something different than what it actually is. We see the Christmas story portrayed in movies as a Santa Claus and all these incredible things. And it is an incredible story, but it's not necessarily just that. When you look at the Christmas story starting in Luke chapter 1, which is where we were this past Sunday, it's a little bit different than what we see on commercials or in ads. It's a whole lot different. Honestly, when the angel came to Mary and said that God was going to give her the Son of Man, the one that was going to come and save the world, she was a little troubled by that. She's a teenage girl. She's not yet married. Can you imagine what the town would have said about her because she wasn't married, she had a baby out of wedlock, or she was going to have a baby out of wedlock? And in this time, that was grounds to kill her. You know what it's like today when you hear of teenage pregnancies in your schools or in your family or whatever. A lot of people are talking trash about that individual. But God went to Mary for a reason. He said, you know what? I found favor in you, so I want the Son of Man to come through you. And as you can imagine, this is a hard thing for her to understand. But she says, you know what, God, if you're calling me to do it, then I promise I'll do it because I'm your servant and I'm willing to fulfill the call that you have for my life. And I don't know about you, but that's a hard decision to make because imagine the ridicule that she's going to get from the people in her town. Imagine the ridicule that she's going to get from her family members and her family friends. There's a lot of things that's going to happen to Mary in this situation that she could have just said, no, I'm not going to allow this to happen, and she wouldn't have to deal with it. But she knew that God was giving her a purpose. She knew that God was calling her to do something, and she said, you know what? I am your servant. I'm going to do it because no word from you has ever failed, and it never will. So when I hear about this story, it reminds me, so this is Christmas. It's not just the one that we see in the ads. It's not just the one that we see in commercials or on the Target ad or whatever. It's not just that, but there's actually a little bit of a story to the Christmas story. And it's kind of messy. It's kind of crazy, but it's incredible. Because to see what God can do through a teenage girl and boy, it just amazes me. Because so many times in our lives, we believe that when God calls us to do something that might cost us something, we usually turn the other way. But we can learn something from Mary and Joseph. Because in their lives, they knew that a little bit of pain in the moment would result in something that completely changed the world forever. So this is the Christmas story. This is the story of two teenagers that were willing to accept the call, and the world changed forever. I want to challenge you all with this. You're never going to be asked to do something like this because it's already happened. But I want to challenge you to be like Mary and to be like Joseph and say, you know what? I'm your servant and I'll do whatever you call me to do. I think if we can learn that out of this story and learn a little bit of knowledge about the Christmas story in general, then I think we're getting the point. So, let's be God's servant and let's do what he's called us to do.